Hi, and welcome to the Simply Slay Life podcast. This is Chelle. Today, on the continuation of my day 29 of my reset blog, I am going to talk about Black women in corporate America, right? And how, at this point in time, it's okay to come as your authentic self. No code switch needed. Okay, because realistically, let's get into it. So we have been taught and trained uh, in our homes that when we get to corporate America, we're supposed to keep our heads down, work twice as hard, and eventually, you'll get noticed, you'll get that promotion, you'll get whatever. So even just in the regular workforce, it doesn't have to be corporate America. It can just be your regular everyday job that you do, right? That if we do our best, we pick up the shifts, um, we come in when they ask us to come in, we're gonna get that promotion, we're gonna get that raise, they're gonna make us a lead. And it doesn't always happen, right? Um, and what most of the time what happens is we do all the work, somebody else gets the credit and the promotion 9 times out of 10, and you become the go-to person for when they need somebody to pick up their shift, that shift, or the person they need to do the project, but it's never going to need to any type of formable um, leadership or promotion or raise. So and I've experienced that. This is from my standpoint. Um, I told y'all about where my worst job ever in my life was. Um, and it was, and I make no bones about it. It was a state government sector job, and they would not let me be a lead. They brought somebody else in to be the lead that didn't have half the experience that I had, um, and hadn't been doing the job as long as I had, and thought I was going to train them. And I was like, we're not doing that. I'm, and then they told me I was being insubordinate. Okay. So just like I got in the habit of, I can gatekeep just like you can. So I'm going to show the bare minimum. So then you can't say I didn't do, right? Because at that point in time, you hired them for a reason. You should know what you're doing. I can show you how to get around in the system. I can show you where you put stuff, but I will not show you what your job says that you're supposed to be doing because you've told me I don't qualify for that. So then that means I don't know that, right? Even though I do know it, but that's not the point. You said I don't qualify for it, so that means I don't know it. So I can't show somebody how to do something. And for me, it's okay to understand that being seen and heard at work is just not about performance. It's about our presence, it's about our voice and our boundaries. And I've been leading up to that in all my other videos this week where I talk about setting boundaries and why it's not negotiable and it's a complete no, right? Um, go ahead and ask for your um, bonus, ask for your raises when they're giving raises, and they want to give you the average 2%. Well, no, I led this project, I led this project, I led this project, and come with your documentation, right? Or set out to do stuff on your own to build your own wealth, to build your own financial freedom. But they don't get to keep using us, and we don't get any of the privilege out of. And I had to that when that was happening to me. Oh, okay. Otherwise you're telling me I'm being insubordinate because we have that favorite thing that's on our job description. Duties as assigned. Okay. And duties as assigned basically means as long as it's not illegal, as long as it still fits into the realm of what your generalized job does, they can ask you to do it. So you have to play their game with them. Okay. Otherwise I'm insubordinate. So I can show you how to get around the system. I can show you where it goes. I can't show you what that job entails though, because they said I don't know it. That's how you that's how I had to start thinking, right? Um, so showing up as your full self in this area, especially on the jobs, it doesn't mean we need to overshare or be the office's unofficial DEI department if you don't want to. So I've told y'all before in past videos that I was be in the office and oh, so what did you do this weekend? Like they want you to just constantly share with them. Oh, nothing. Me and the dog just stayed at home. Oh, nothing. I'm just, I slept all weekend. It was a long week. Work was tiring. I ain't giving you none of my personal information. Why? So you could turn it around and use it on me? And it's okay. And you repeat that rhetoric every day, every week, every nothing. Oh, you just live a bah humbug life. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm a stay at home mini. I like a good stay at home and watch a good movie on the TV. You ain't gonna say that I was in the streets, not I, right? And that's how you play that role with them. Um, and also, if you're collaborating on something with somebody in the office, own your ideas. Uh, do not soften your ideas or your approach to them to make it more palatable for them, to make it more accepting for them. And then I would follow it up with an email. I'm good for an email. Hey, Jim, and I'd CC his manager on it if or your manager on it if y'all are supposed to be working on something. Hey, when we met today, we talked about this. I suggested that. Let me know if that works for you. Let me know if we're going to do any tweaks to that or we're going to move forward with what my suggestion was. And you name that suggestion and you name what it entailed. Because ever for your performance appraisal or raise time or whatever they're using. Oh no, that was my suggestion. That's what I did. That was the success, right? We did well with that. You have that document. The other thing that I had to realize, because I was fighting for my life, I swear I was. Um, I'm not gonna say sorry, right? Uh, I used to because I it got to a point where it was just like, and you know who pointed it out to me? My sister had to point it out to me one day. I said, I asked her, I said, hey, do you mind if I ask you a question? I'm not trying to be rude or anything or come off as rude. I just really wanted to know. And she was like, what is wrong with you? You making it sound like you fist to say something. Gonna make me have to curse you out. That's what she was like. I said, what are you talking about? She said, you normally would just ask me a question. When did this start? And at that point in time, I had been with that agency for about 3 years. And for me to keep my job because I could not find anywhere else to go and I was looking hard, me just asking a question, and any black person knows in the workplace because they ain't never thought of it. They'll think you're being insubordinate or you're being just because you're asking a question so that you can better understand why something is done or that you have a better understanding how that role goes, right? And so for me not to be under attack, I used to have to change my wording to be just like that. I apologize. I'm sorry. Um I just wanted to know why, and I'm not trying to be difficult or anything, but just for me to better understand it. Why do we do this way? So I know not to do it that way. And that was literally how I would come across because me, where I used to be that person where I literally would just be like, okay, well, why is that done? Is this the way that they have it set up in the system, or is just a way that it's the fastest way for us to do it? I would like to know that. you would see their face get angry because they really didn't have the answer because somebody else trained them like that, and that's the only way they know. And they would get angry. Next thing I know, I got a message from my supervisor talking about, Shell, I would need you to not do that because that's insubordination. I said, I just asked a question. So I literally got to the point where I was trained. And my sister said, don't do that. I said, it's a habit. She was like, I'm going to need you to break that habit. Right. And I don't want anybody to ever feel bad and that you have to sit up there and feel like you got to say sorry for somebody who will never say sorry to you. Let them think what they want to think. And as long as you are sitting up there saying and can approach it as in when somebody comes to you, I literally was asking the question so I know the best way of how I'm supposed to do this. I didn't know that that was something wrong with that. But at that point in time, I couldn't even think like that because I was like, what you mean I'm being insubordination? I'm literally just asking a question. And when you're in that mode where you are literally fighting for, and I mean literally, because that's your bread and butter, they make you to the point where you're like, they want to see you eat crow. And we're not at this age, this big old age that I am, and the big old age that you are, that you made it into the workforce. Don't do that. And that's when I'm gonna tell you to use that line my mama used to use in sight. I apologize if you think I did something. That's when you use that line and keep it moving. Now I understand where it comes from because you put that right because it's not really an apology. You just putting it back on them. That's them feel that way. I didn't do that, but that if you feel that way, you go right ahead, right? So that's you deciding openly to I belong in this room. I'm not a bonus. I'm a necessity type of mode, right? And you move just like that. And you said, and thank you, have a good day. And you turn away and walk off. Because if it ever comes back, well, I apologized if they thought that that's what I was meaning. And I explained to them that's not what I meant. But you know how you did it. Right. Because again, it becomes he said, she said, you know, and claim anything you do out loud instead of, excuse me, being like, well, we kind of worked on this uh, or I helped kind of on this. I want you to start being like, because I had to get to that point. I led the project and I also coordinated on this. When we sat down to discuss this group project, this is what I contributed, you know, and look them dead in their face when you say it. Here's my notes on that from what I contributed and give them the copy, right? This is what we discussed. This was my part. This is where we added it in at. Give them the details so nobody can ever mistake that you did not say anything. And then I know people make you mad enough because that was me. What I think I told y'all in one of my stories, um, that one of my coworkers had to tell me on a Teams call, on the Teams meeting, she texted me and she was like, I'm gonna need you to get that look off your face. I'm gonna need, she says, don't do that. Don't do that. And I was like, because they had made me so mad about you didn't even respect me enough to send flowers or send me anytime. And you have all of us contributing to everybody when somebody died. You didn't even respect me enough because your hatred for my greatness, um, enough to send me a card or anything when my mother died, right? And I like that the good employee. I add my $2. I add my $3, whatever it is for the flowers and the cards for everybody that's out of the 40 uh HR people. I did my piece. You couldn't even send a card. And I literally, when I got back to work, you better not say nothing else to me because my supervisor had also approached me in the wrong way when I returned. Um, and the best way I could tell you is set a quiet intention. Just every once in a while in the meeting. It don't have to be every meeting, right? Just be like, oh yeah, well, Bill, how does that work? Do we need to do this? Just, or that would be a great addition to the project. Or Well, we notice on these shifts this happens. Add just a one liner in there. So then, if anything comes up, because let me tell you how this goes. When we get a performance appraisals and we're talking to managers, um, who, when the appraisals are about to go out and they need to write up, this is the main thing I noticed. That person isn't a team player. They don't contribute. They don't this. So then, if you're sitting up in at least a meeting once a month or once every couple of weeks saying, "Oh, well, what? It don't got to be perfect. It don't have to be anything other than a two-word sentence talking about, oh, that would be great," or again, what if we did this? And give them your lamest answer. When you're in a meeting, nobody can say, "Well, no, she did contribute on that. Remember, she did this." Oh, yeah, she did. Combat that, right? Because they always are looking for a way. Right? And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be yours. Right? It just that's what you threw out there, so be it. Everybody heard it. I used to have a coworker that before she left, and then I left a couple of months after her. And we actually ended up both being from Houston, so we connected in Houston. She said, I was telling her we were at lunch one day when we reconnected. And she was like, "Girl, I was so happy to get out of that place. They got," I said, "You and me both." And she says, "What? I thought you were fine there." I was like, "I couldn't stand them people." And she was like, "I can't, I would never have thought that the way you come in every month." And it was because every day, I told y'all before, these people would sit up there and be like, "I'm not being a team player because I don't want to engage with them. I don't want to." And my former director, she was one of those yes sir bosses people, right? Thought that, and which I want to talk to black women about that. Stop doing that. Stop thinking that you're gonna get further in the game by doing what they think you're supposed to do. Don't do that because they'll use you to be their henchman and you still won't get no further than that. Because let me tell you, all the stuff that that director was doing to me, she lasted a year there and they fired her. So stop doing that. If you can't show up and be you, don't think you can correct somebody else and you jacked up because you sitting up there doing something to kiss somebody's ring. That's rude of you. And you know, technically, I'm not doing anything wrong. I don't have to sit up there and engage around the water cooler or sip the tea for somebody who just wants to be in my business. And so that's how I could tell you about the performance appraisals. I'm not a team player. I don't interact well with others. So it got to a point so that nobody could say that I don't talk to anybody or I don't contribute. I got to the point that every morning when I walked in, "Good morning, Jesse. Hi, Frank. Hi." And get to my office and slam that door and be like, "Sorry, da 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 da." Because then nobody can say, and that's as good as you got out of me. Because she said, "Girl, I thought you liked them people." Not I. She said, "The way you would come in and be like, 'Hey, how you doing?' Da-da," and then get to my office and close my door. Because at that point in time, at least I know my mom and my grandmama taught me, when you walk into the room, you should be the person to speak. If they didn't hear me speak before, I know everybody in that office heard me speak then, because nobody can say I didn't speak to nobody. I wasn't being a team because I said hi to everybody and everybody heard it, right? I'm not doing more than that. Like I said, people, "Oh, what you doing this week?" Girl, I watched a movie and fell asleep on the couch. I ain't do nothing, my mind be hurting over work, and walk away. I'm not giving you a play by play, blow by blow that me and my friends went out and painted the town red. That's not your business or your concern. You worry about what you and Billy over there doing when y'all get home, not me. So do that. Just do that. Don't over explain nothing. Don't over explain your presence. Don't, don't give them more information than what's needed because it's not their business. And just keep it going. And that's just the God honest truth. It's to that point, they just some nosy heifers. Just really to that point. They will try to use everything against you, and I've seen it. And stop just not recognizing your presence is all that's needed because you were hired because your skills was on point. Okay. Catch yourself when you're starting to explain or minimizing your expertise because I'm big on that word that you're the SME, you're the subject matter expert. You wouldn't get paid what you get paid, you wouldn't got offered what you got offered. And when you see yourself starting to do that, and I've done that before, even in my personal life, people be like, oh, did it? And I'm just used to, that's not a question that normally bothers me. So I just be answering. But then when you get hip, oh, you trying to get in my business like that. You trying to find out about my money. And I can't stand for somebody to count my money, right? I can't stand for somebody to make me think, why do I get to be in this space? I'll change the subject real quick in their face, right? Oh, anyway, um, so about that meeting yesterday, what's gonna happen in that? Did you hear anything about that? And turn and throw them all off course, right? Because this is to the point where they want to be able to say you're not qualified behind closed doors. Also, you may have to do that with friends and family too, just in your general life. Now, we talking about corporate, but you got them friends that be like, oh, so what did that cost? How did that manage? And then you like, I don't have a problem. It's not nothing major. Oh, I can't afford that. Well, nobody asked you that. You asked me. Which this is probably why you shouldn't be talking about money with somebody. But just in general, you're not thinking it's a big deal. But then you realize you start peeping them. Oh, that's envy. And that's exactly what it is in corporate America. It's envy. And we have to start recognizing it and calling it what it is. So that also ties into setting your boundaries at work. I'm not available to take that on right now, but here's what I can do. Remember I said that the other day? When you're at work, somebody comes up to you at 4:55, it's okay for you to say, um, it's okay for you to say that, oh, I'm not available for this right now. Um, I'm heading out because I get off at 5 and it's four and look at your watch. Oh, it's 4:55. I sign off at 5. But I can tell you what, I can when I come in the morning, I can meet with you, send you something so we can put something up on the calendar and grab your purse or your briefcase and leave. That's what I said. So I'm gonna tell y'all to stick with that. Um, or say, I'm happy to help and give them a clear deadline and priority. If it is their case and you're just there to help, say, I can help on this portion. I can give you a week of my time toward that. I need to make sure we're through with my portion of it to help you by this deadline and give a clear one. And also let them know this is not my priority because I have other things on my list that I have to do that is expected of me. But I will chime in where I need to because you don't do all their work and then they take the credit for you and they just ask for you to help. But people start panning stuff off on you and then they be like, and you be like, wait a minute, how did I get more of that stuff than I'm supposed to? I still got my whole, and ain't nobody helping you. You sit up there and say, I can help on this piece. I'm available this day, and this day. It's not my priority, but I will step in to help on this time because I have other things on my plate that I have to complete that my supervisor expects of me. Once I've completed that portion, once I've helped you with that portion, I'm going to fall off and you can continue from there. And you set the clear expectations. And that is being seen and heard, right? Um, and realizing that if your voice is never heard, that's how promotions get missed, raises get missed, you know. Um, and when you're openly saying I can help, I can do this, but I have a guideline that I'm following, or I have a boundary that I don't want crossed. They can't take that any other way than, oh, she's real professional, right? She's giving deadlines. She's real professional. It is just what it is, right? We have to realize as Black people in the workplace that it's okay to speak up, to be direct, and let them take that whatever way they want to. And direct does not mean that you are too loud, too aggressive, too pushy, too anything. That just means this is where I stand and this is how we're going to move. And nobody can say you're rude when oh, okay, Ted, I understand, but I can't do that. Um, or I can only do this amount because, that's not really my role. And so I wasn't really showed that. And I don't care if you know that role forward, backwards, and sideways. They didn't make you the lead on that position. They didn't hire you for that position. They hired somebody else. Make that person work for it. And I had to get real comfortable with that. And this is part of my reset of 2026 because I started that in 2024. It got more progressive in 2025, but I'm also on that side of where I'm kind of in that downslope where we not doing that. And yet they showed me who they were. So, which I had already kind of seen way beforehand, but I am not jumping through hoops for anybody. And if you don't like, and I told y'all that's probably why I like Jasmine Crockett and the other lady that I met at a conference because they tried to make and it kind of hurt my confidence at that. Um, and like I said, it was other people doing people's bidding, saying to me stuff like, oh, I would be like, oh yeah, I have to go meet with the director of such and such. And my director that I told you, she lost her job the next year. I hope she watching this. That she said to me one day, and well, when you talk to her, you need to make sure you do and know that you need to talk this way. And we were coming back from a offsite meeting, and I was in the front, and my supervisor was driving, and she was in the back, and we were in like a, a SUV, and I must have turned around so fast. And I was like, I'm not the one that doesn't know how to talk. It's you that don't know how to talk. You get mush mouth when, and my supervisor had to tap my leg and was like, Rochelle, well, she talking to the wrong person. I came out just that fast because I was tired of her. Right. And that was when I was like, okay, how I told y'all before, people like to see you come out of your character so they can get that geek off of you. Right. Like they think they nailed you. But I did tell her, at the end of the day, I'm gonna back up from this conversation, but I'm gonna need you to direct your comments to yourself, and I'm gonna need you to sign up for um, Toastmasters because it's you that's afraid to speak with people, and we can have this conversation with whoever we need to have this conversation with, but you do not get to intimidate me into thinking that I do not know how to talk, right? I had been a director before, and she had only been there for 6 months in, and we were doing audits on files, and she came across my file and she saw um, my previous experience, and that's when her attitude changed toward me. That's when it turned into, oh, this why you asking questions. This why, because I was trained to be like, the book stops with me at the end of the day. Why are we doing something this way? I need to know. That way I'm covered, you're covered, everybody's covered, right? So when people try to find a way to sabotage you or to cut you down, it will not always be the people that look like them. It'll be the people that's supposed to be your kinfolks, which now I truly understand that word. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. So know that, right? And, you know, it was just, I was like, you don't get to do that to me. And um, by the time we made it back to the office, I was like, I'm going home for the day. I'm salaried. I'm going home for the day. That was a long, we had to go to the next city over for this. So that's why we had a rental vehicle. I, I can't take, I'm taking my laptop and going home. I work from home. Before they could tell me anything, I was out that door and gone, right? Know when it's time for you to go ahead and take that personal break. Be you, be your true you, and learn what is available to you to take those tools and use it in the workplace so that until you are appreciated or until you find somewhere or you build something that shows your, hey, we value you, you work that out. I guarantee you that woman saw and heard me then, because what she was doing, the next day I got up and went to her director and let them know. And here's my documentation of it. This has been going on in every meeting. This is what's been happening. And you know what they told me, the VP, in our meeting? Yes, we've been getting several complaints about her. Oh, I appreciate that. These are all from what's been going on. These are my emails. I will sell you down the river if you think you're going to cut me off. If you think you're going to do something to me because you think you're doing something, because that same person came back to me, because they're not supposed to say who made the complaint. Can you write me a letter saying that? Da, da, da? No, I can't do that. No, I can't. I can't write that letter because those are things you did to me. You didn't know. Okay, but now you know I can't write that letter for you. And got up and walked out her office. Literally, she was gone. After they had their meeting and all them other people had been coming forward, um, probably about 3 or 4 months later, she was gone. And so she only made it like a year and a half in that role, right? And the killer part was she was the one doing the bidding for the supervisors that were in her department, because those are the ones that had an issue with me and two other people in our department. So in our department, or in our um thing across Texas, 3,500 employees, only 3% of them were black. In HR, it was only three blacks: me, my supervisor, and another employee. And those were the ones they were gunning for. And they couldn't find anything. They lied on us. They tried to say we were still in time. They were trying to, it was a big mess. And still in time for a government agency is federal time. You will go to prison. And that's why you are make it known, and make it known well, and follow it up in emails. Because the prior director, when I got hired, I never worked in any type of government. I came from private industry, whereas in, if you did overtime, if you stayed, if you did anything, you got paid out, even if your salary over a certain amount of hours, depending on how it was structured, because you can be hourly but salaried. And those are normally the normal roles I had been in before I went full out salaried. In government, you get comp time. And I didn't know how to put that time in. And so I wrote a letter to my director because I kept asking people, how do you do this? How do you do this? Nobody was answering me. So I asked, could my director, not her, another one, before she got hired, how do you do this? Can you have someone show me how to put in my comp time? Let me tell you, thank you that I kept that email, because as soon as he left the agency, Next thing I know, we're in a big hoopla talking about I'm stealing time, I'm falsifying my time. Even though I'm salaried, when you work in agency like that, they still have you mark down your schedule on a sheet. And if you stayed over that regular 40 hours, since you don't get overtime, you get comp time, right? And had us under investigation and all this other stuff, accusing us of stealing time. And I literally had to bring forth, wait a minute, this is who showed me this. I asked for somebody to help me because I didn't know how to do it. If I did it wrong, that's because they showed me this. And it turned out to be one of the people that was accusing me of stealing time. So they got walked out too, because then that means you've intentionally showed me how to do something wrong, trying to set me up and accuse me of falsifying time, which would have caused me to go to prison. Stealing time, what a government agency is a federal offense. That means you go to Fed prison day for day. That's just how much people don't like you. For what? Stupidity stuff? Anyway, so that's when they hired her on, and that happened. And then she wants to be like, oh, I want to fit in with them. You see, I used to be a director. And that's how I said people that look like us ain't always your kinfolk. And for those people that think that's gonna help you get up the corporate ladder, stop doing that bidding. Stop doing that. You should be able to be you. I should be able to be me. And that's just the way we move. If they like it, they like it. If they love it, they love it. If they don't, they don't. Stop trying to throw us under the bus to help your career. If you just that raggedy, you don't need a career. And for everybody else who is just trying to go along to get along and go to work and go home, keep being you. Keep showing up. Say hi, say bye. No, didn't really do nothing, Fred. No, okay. All right. Tell your family I said hi and go sit down at your desk. And you show up in all your glory. This is why I'm doing these resets, because I am fully into my new mode of what I will not allow in 2026 and what I've let slide in 2025 and 24 and beyond. Guys, this is about making sure we are seen and heard and being Black professionals in the workplace. Um, and I hope this resonated with you, because I know somebody knows. So I'm talking about all the things I've said. And like that, I said, that can be in any job, right? Because we all know we come in and we be prepared, and they be looking at us like, how she do this, how he do that. Let them look at you like that. You be you, baby. You be you and do you well. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. Thank you for watching the Simply Slay Like podcast. I'm Rochelle. I hope this made you laugh. I hope this made you say, yeah, that happened to me. And if it did, please comment. Hit the like button, subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. This is day 29 of my reset. Before I forget, Saturday evening, 6:30. No, we'll say 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I will do my live for my wrap up for the week. So 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you're West Coast, that means 5 p.m. your time. If you're East Coast, that means that is 9 p.m. your time. If you are Mountain Time, that means you're 6 p.m. All right, guys. Take care. Love you. Thank you for watching the Simply Slay Life podcast. Bye.